Hello. So it's G again, and I thought I wanted to try to see if I can put into words this show. I think I would highly recommend anyone to watch Origairu or My Teen Romantic Snafu. Now, the final season is airing right now with the newest episode. Let me see, episode 5 airing today. I'm not sure how to describe my experience with the show because I think this show is not exactly. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that for someone such as myself, who has never been the best at understanding double meanings and really looking at facial features of people, it has always been a struggle of mine, I guess, to be able to do that. And this show, is the king of that. Double meanings and the animation is, especially season 2, is very big on the facial animations to try to figure stuff out. But I'm awful at looking at people's faces and figuring out what the hell they're thinking. It's the same reason why sarcasm goes through over my head, right? Sarcasm, they may say something, but they're also having a slightly double meaning to what they're saying, right? Which is to kind of make fun of people, but or say something and try to say how trying to give a double meaning to what they're saying with sarcasm. And I personally am just not very good at that. It's never been good at that. But I have to say Origairu is amazing. If you're one of those people, and I think anyone should, just watching it, every conversation, every action of every character. This is gonna big spoiler warning, okay? So I'm just gonna big spoil. If you don't want to get spoiled about the story, you don't have to. Basically, I'm gonna give you a plot synopsis of Origairu, which if Origairu basically follows this man Hachiman as he basically joins this club called the Service Club, um, who is run by Yukino Shita, and then he is going to be joined by another person called Yuigi Hama or Yui. Right? You have Yukino, and Yui, and then you got Hachiman, and they basically go about doing these things where their service club basically is there to help people with their problems and help people fix and find solutions basically to their certain things. That's it's the best way I can describe the show. And you basically either follow basically their journey together, and as well as their relationship. Just even if you and this is just the most interesting part is they're just these three's relationship, right? And this big spoiler, but there is a love triangle between Hachiman and the two girls, right? Which I thought that Hachiman had no idea that these two girls liked him. But it turns out he did. But there's just been a lot of subtle hints, which is what I mean by, and this is where I'm going to go into my bulk of my little video here, is that Yare Ore no Seishan love comedy, in my opinion, is probably one of the most interesting shows I've seen in terms of writing style, in terms of dialogue, in terms of action because everything in the anime, every one of the dialogue, all the dialogues, all of them have hidden second meanings in them, right? Whether it be for example, at some point I believe in season 3, Yui and Hachiman go to like this store and they're talking about buying furniture and rooms, buying stuff in this furniture store if I remember correctly. And she's making, oh wow, this is such a great place to be with, like, being a family and stuff like that, which, if you really think about it, it's her kind of being somewhat lightly veiled talking about how she could be the perfect wife for him, but she doesn't say it outright. She never says it outright, and none of the characters ever do it outright. In season 3, however, it's becoming much more straightforward that what each of the characters are thinking. In season 1 and season 2, it's just like, holy cow, I don't know what the fuck's going on sometimes, right? Where there's the second meanings is only maybe known to the characters who are speaking. Right, because in this first season, second season, if I remember correctly, we only ever really see Hachiman's perspective and his inner thoughts. Season 3, all hands are off. We're seeing Yui Gyohama's, you know, inner thoughts. We're seeing Iroha's um, inner thoughts, and we're seeing other characters slowly, right? Where right now I haven't seen Yukino's train of thought, but with season two, if anyone remembers season two, the final episode, when Yugi Hama made that statement, that's when I really knew at that point in time what type of show this is. This is a show. It's amazing. I'm sorry, not that what type of show it is. I mean, this. I knew that this was an amazing show. This anime is amazing because I'm basically watching people talking to each other. They're being direct, but they're giving second meanings to everything that they say. And and what I did not realize was that every part of this story is that all these characters, or a lot of the characters, may be confused at what's going on, just like the audience, but they also kind of know. For example, it seems Hachiman did not know Yuigi Hama liked him, but it turns out he's known for quite a long time, right? It's all this stuff that is just so interesting, right? Because he himself always seems to just as an example, Hachiman just usually just never, says it. He just says, nah, no, no. He acts like this dense person. But in reality, he even seemed to know that they were in a love triangle, basically. He's known for a while, which is quite weird if you have seen this series. But I would suggest to anyone here, I would watch the series. I would watch Yahare Oren no Seishon. So I want to give you this scene as an example. What I mean by double meaning. In this scene, Iroha has just finished confessing, I believe, to this very popular guy. I think his name is Hayata. I don't remember his name. He, is not my favorite character. Don't give two shits about him. On who you're in love with. So in season 2, this second meaning is she's basically telling him to take responsibility for her feelings for him. And whether or not he knows or not is never told to us. I could only assume he might know because it seems he knew the other people who had feelings for him and he just casually rejected them pretty easily. Right? But again, this is what I meant by this show in of itself. Everything has a second meaning. You have to look at the show like that, which I think that is such, to me, it's such an interesting way to write a show, and it must take so much skill. I mean, someone such as myself, who barely can even understand when people have used sarcasm, can never imagine myself writing something this complicated, where you have to basically, right as you're writing the dialogue, you also have to somehow write it in a way that also has a second meaning that is a part of of a certain character's persona, their personality, and their wants and their desires, that is showing through, even though they're maybe saying something different, right? It's a second meaning paradise, basically, for people who are like, I think this is this is some of the greatest writing I've actually seen now that I'm watching the season 3, because now I'm starting to understand what the fuck is going on. Because before I was having a lot of trouble kind of following along with what character's doing what. I was like, holy shit, I don't know what's going on, right? Because it's, again, like I said before, I always had trouble with this. I want to show you another scene. This is season 3. This is episode 5, and basically, this is the season where we're getting some of the other characters' inner thoughts, not just Hachiman's. Right now, we're going to get Iroha's thoughts. And this is what I meant by, now pause that real quick, just in case. I'm sorry if I didn't give enough context to this scene. But basically, Hachiman and Yukino, Yukino's trying to plan this prom thing for Iroha here. Iroha, this girl in this scene, this girl right in front of us, this girl wants a prom. Yukino's basically shot down Hachiman's and Yugi Hama's help, but Hachiman comes in and says, "Hey, I want to help," and Yukino again shoots him down. So what does Hachiman do? He bets with her. He bets that whoever can get the prom through will have to do the other person's bidding. However, if you ever I have to stay guessing, but now since this last season, we're getting all the juicy stuff. We're getting everything. And so I think this is amazing. I just really love the writing of this show. Right. I think the writing of this show, now that I can rewatch it, I am watching this now, I think the writing is amazing. So she understands now. And if you remember that responsibility line from the beginning, she wants him to take responsibility. And when she means that, some people might say, hey, responsibility for the relationship he has with Yukino and the fact that there's this huge plot about how the three of them kind of knew they were in love with each other, but they refused to talk about it, so they became codependent. Or it could be a double meaning is that she wants him to take responsibility for her feelings for him. That's what I meant by this show's writing so good. It's vague enough where you have to really think about it, but it's also there that it is concrete enough where you can probably figure out that there is double meanings and double meanings and hidden meanings to everything that they're saying if you look hard enough, and especially if you see how she's looking, how she moves her hands, all that stuff. It's just so well planned out. Whoever the fucking director of this show is amazing. Just see one request of their loser. Is that correct? Right. So if you can see here, right, right, they're basically making that bet, but that bet can mean many things. And this goes on to, and I don't want to say anymore, but this is just an example, a huge, very big example I wanted to use. And I really suggest people watch this show. You know, this show has some of the most, I think, in my opinion, some of the most incredible dialogue writing I think I've seen. Um, it's not in the same way as the Bakemonogatari series. I've heard from I've researched how the Bakemonogatari series is written. Is that the author, I guess, really changes and kind of manipulates how the Japanese language is written when he's writing his light novels, and that it doesn't translate well in English. That's something totally else. But this has some of the best, like, just I don't know how to explain. It's just the hidden meanings and everything that these characters do. Every time these characters do an action, every time these characters do a dialogue, every time you see their faces just talking about it, there's a hidden meaning to everything that they're almost doing. And the author the director just doesn't tell us jack shit. And now we're in season 3. We're starting to get the inner thoughts of every other characters. Now we get to see how they actually feel, which is amazing. Which is amazing, right? Which amazing. And it's very exciting, and it's been a great payoff. And I think people should watch this damn show. Like, I cannot stress it enough. Great show.